my name is Genevieve Tucker. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Northern Static Series on CFUR 88.7 FM. You can find us online at CFUR.ca. We are broadcasting from the traditional unceded territory of the Kitley First Nation. This initiative is made possible by the Community Radio Fund of Canada. Our special guest today brings a punk rock sense of urgency to her music, weaving catchy melodic guitar lines beneath her carefully crafted lyrics. A true cornerstone of our local music scene, she has been instrumental in shaping its sound and spirit. Her journey has been one of relentless creativity. Along the way, she helped foster musical spaces for the next generation through Girls Rock Camp North and previously founded Good Egg Records, further cementing her impact on the community. From performing in numerous bands over the years to launching her own solo project, first under the name Good Nightmare, which she masterfully used a looper pedal, and later evolving into the full band energy of what is now Britt A.M. She also plays in the beloved local band Crohn's and Reckless Burning, with multiple projects landing on earshot charts, festival performances across the province and beyond, and self-curated tours spanning the country. Britt A.M. is a force in independent music. Britt A.M., welcome to the Northern Static Series.
Thank you so much, Jen. I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we're so happy to have you here today. You're no stranger to CFUR Studios, but you said it's been a while since you've been here.
It has, yeah. I haven't been up here for probably at least a year.
Yeah.
I kind of made a joke on the way in that I'm not paying for parking because they have to get you 3 times to put a boot on it, and I'm only going to be here once for the next little while. So
you go, girl.
Yeah. Yeah, it's excuse me, it's been a while, and it's really great to be back up here. It's one of those spaces that, you know, it's constantly evolving and constantly changing with each passing semester, and yeah, it's just really cool to be back. Lots of nostalgia.
There's a ton of posters in our lobby entranceway covering from like floor to ceiling, and there's your name of various bands on a lot of the posters around, and maybe either you have played in some of those shows or been instrumental in like organizing some of the shows or putting them on. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely a walk down memory lane.
Totally. And then you also had a show on CFUR called This is Britt A.M.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Which I feel bummed that I never got to enjoy that show, but it sounds like something I would definitely enjoy.
Yeah, it was definitely a mishmash, kind of flying by the seat of my pants every week. I had a few guest hosts come on from time to time, and it was really just like sort of the ramblings of a music director. Whatever was touching me that week, it was making its way to the airwaves.
Okay, can you take us back to the beginning? What first drew you into music, and what were some of your early influences that started to shape your sound?
So earliest sort of musical memories, I was obsessed with the song Jump by Van Halen and the music video with David Lee Roth on like a bungee cord, and there's like a photo of me. I was like probably 2, and I was like pressed up against, you know, my grandparents' floor television, the big heavy wooden ones, like just mesmerized by this. And like that was probably my first introduction to rock and roll, was the song Jump. And then, yeah, the music played in my household. Like my dad listened to heavier stuff like Black Sabbath and Kiss, and my mom listened to dance music. She was working at a dance club when I was a kid. So like I really had exposure to some really very different types of music that I think kind of formed my style, or formed the way that I gravitate towards music. Yeah, I was really into Fleetwood Mac as a kid, and a lot of that was just osmosis through what was being played at the house. Mm-hmm. I was really obsessed with Much Music and music videos, and so yeah, I would make like VHS tapes and, you know, record the songs I liked, and then have these little like VHS mixtapes.
Oh my God.
That I would like really love to watch. So yeah, early musical influences definitely along that realm. I never really played music as a kid. I had like one of those little like 12 key like mini Casio keyboards.
Yeah.
And I like was able to plunk out like Ode to Joy or something, and like my grandparents were just like, she's virtuose, like this child is gifted. And it's like it was that was my big moment as a child with music. And yeah, I didn't play, I wasn't like in band in high school or anything like that. I don't come from a musical family.
Yeah.
And I really got into writing poetry as a teenager, just like angsty and needed to get my stuff onto a page. And then it kind of moved into like I started singing the poems to a melody, and then I was like, well, I want to learn how to play guitar, and then from there I was like, took a couple lessons with a friend, and I was like, well, maybe I want to do something more than just like be a hobbyist musician. At the time that I came to that conclusion, I was in college taking prerequisites with the idea that I was going to be a pharmacist. And I was at CNC and like had failed Physics 101 for like the third time in a row or something stupid.
Physics
and I was like,
is so hard.
What am I doing? Like, my brain is not made for physics, and I really love playing music. And then I came across the Selkirk College program, their music program. So, so from there, it's kind of history has been written. That was back in, 2005 I went there, 2005 to 2007.
Yeah.
Definitely, like, very beginner level, like, was really interested in learning theory. Had never been in a band before, so that was my first exposure to, like, actually collaborating musically with people. Terrifying, not great musically, but I learned so much. And after that, I had a band that we kind of kicked around the Kootenays for a bit after that. And when I came back to Prince George, kind of had a different set of eyes on it. I'd been gone for about 8 years. And of course, when you leave your hometown, you're kind of like, goodbye, suckers. Like, this place ain't for me. And to come back, 8 years older and wiser and with a different perspective, I realized very quickly how rich the local music scene is and how supportive people are and friendly and just what a solid scene it actually is. Yeah. So I felt really inspired to stick around and explore that a bit. So that's kind of like the early to the launching into PG time in my life. But
wow. Yeah. That's quite the shift from like going to school to become a pharmacist and then... that wasn't my idea, Like, it's one of those things where people tell you what you should do at that age, and I was just kind of going along with what I thought I should be doing, and it takes a minute. You have to take a step back and go, hey, like, is this what I want to do? Totally. What were people in your life and your family saying when you decided to go to music school?
They were surprisingly chill about it.
That's awesome. Really,
I went to pharmacy school to impress you people, and this is the committed, response I get. Yeah, but
that's great.
Yeah, they were just like, oh, okay. When you leaving? I was like, what the hell?
I'm just moving a 12-hour drive.
Yeah.
South.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I thought you guys wanted me to be a pharmacist. They're like, oh, whatever you want to do. I'm like,
that's great.
It's great to know now.
Yeah.
3 Physics 101s under my belt.
So as you said, you've been involved in quite a few bands and different projects over the years. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, take us through like your journey of different bands that kind of led you to the ones that you're in now.
Yeah. So my first official band that I was in, that has the most tragic band name. It was in Nelson right after music school, and we were called the Tortoise Forfeits. It's like a nice little tongue twister. It does not roll off the tongue nicely. Yeah, that was, it was like a pop band basically. Yeah. And we got a pretty nice sounding album, I have to say. Like, I listened back to it and it's like very, like, the songwriting is definitely young and less mature than what I would consider my songwriting to be now. Yeah, it's fun to look back and be like, okay, like, for a first stab, that was pretty decent.
Well, you're also like super fresh on all of your cool harmony tricks that you've learned in music school. So there's probably some like special little transitions, I can imagine.
Yeah, a lot of focus put onto the theory side of like writing at that time. Yes, it was definitely less organic, I would say. Yeah, and so that was my first official band, and then when I got back to Prince George, I knew I wanted to tour. I knew I wanted to sort of be self-sufficient in that realm of things. So I just started a solo project with a loop pedal called Good Nightmare, and I was able to cut a couple homespun EPs with that, and had fun touring that around. I think 2013 it was. I went on a solo cross-country tour with my console, who's a friend of mine from Nelson. It was like a fun foray into looping and playing as a solo artist, but I soon gravitated towards wanting to flesh out the music in a way that was more impactful. Like, yeah, there's only so much you can do with a loop pedal. And just being alone on stage too. I think touring alone is quite different than touring with a band.
Yeah.
Like, that was the other piece I was like kind of missing. I'm like, oh, when you tour with a band, you're kind of like Vikings rolling into a town and taking it over and like, you know, hitting the stage, and like you've got this bit of camaraderie and family almost like rolling in with you. So after touring and playing as a solo looper with being called Good Nightmare, I decided to come home and change the project to my actual name. It just seemed a little bit better for longevity and for relevance. I felt like it would serve the project better. So so toured solo as Britt A.M. by myself this time, all the way across Canada in my huge camper band Flow. And
let's talk about that. That was like your first solo tour,
all by myself,
longest one that you've done thus far.
Yes. Right? Yeah, the one in 2013 actually. We went all the way to Newfoundland and back. So the 2015 tour that I did by myself, I went to Halifax.
And how many shows?
44, I think it was.
Wow.
Like over the course of about 6 weeks. Oh, it was so fun, and it was a very fulfilling experience. I learned a lot about myself, all these cheesy things that we want to hear, but it was also exhausting. And I look back and I look at some of the positions that I put myself in, and I'm like, oh, I'm just like so lucky. I'm so lucky. I was kind of stupid sometimes, you know, just like the places I parked, being a little too big for my britches, I think, in some cases. So I'm just really lucky I made it home safely. I mean, I wasn't doing anything over the top, but it was like, there's a couple moments where I'm like, oh, yeah, that was probably a little sketch.
Yeah, no kidding.
Which I think most tours have those moments, whether you're alone or not. There's always going to be that sort of, got away with something there, you know.
That was dicey.
Yeah, but overall it was such a great experience, and I came home and, you know, pretty musically lonely. I was like, I can't wait to work these songs with a band, basically.
Yeah, so that kind of like solidified the idea of, okay, it's time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was lucky enough to I got back home, and I was still trying to focus on doing music full time for my income, which actually became sort of a hindrance to my creativity, which I think a lot of people might experience, because, you know, I'm taking cover gigs and maybe gigs that I don't really want to be taking, but I need the money, and kind of, killed my creativity a little bit there. But got home, eventually landed in a space where I was able to get some players to play with me. I've been lucky enough to have Justin Jandro with me from the beginning, as well as Nathan Kelly, and our bass players have changed over the years. Was lucky enough to have Bryn Porter as my bass player for a few years, and then when he left town, Cal Hildy stepped in, and he's been awesome as well. So I'm just really lucky to have a stand-up group of people who are really good at what they do, very skilled players, very intuitive. We have fun fleshing out these songs together, and fun hitting the stage together. So so that's kind of the origin story of the Britt A.M. project. Yeah.
Let's talk about songwriting. So you mentioned that you kind of started off writing poems when you were younger. How does that look now? Like how would you describe your process now?
I have been examining my process this basically since the start of this year. I ended up, at your suggestion, you introduced me to this awesome organization called School of Song, and I think they're run out of Philly, somewhere in the States. And so they bring on guest songwriters to do like month-long sort of webinar-based teachings. So in January, I was lucky enough to step in and for one of their courses with Brian Eno. Yeah. And so I was really excited to take this course with him, because I feel that my songwriting has been, it's not necessarily feeling stagnant, but I haven't sat back to examine the process in a long time. So it was a really cool opportunity to do that. And I guess to answer your question, long story short, is typically I just have a book full of lyrics. Like, I'm always writing lyrics. Like, when things pop into my mind, I'll either throw them in my notes app or transfer them to my songwriting book. But sometimes it does come the other way too, where I'm noodling on guitar and I come up with a chord progression that I like the sound of, or a series of riffs that I think could be really cool to work with. And then I'll either, go to my lyrics and see if I can pair something there, or just sort of write something fresh based on the feeling of the progression. So
I feel like your leaking my process as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I totally resonate with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to, continually write things down and then be able to pull from that book whenever you need to, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And it's always interesting to me when I'll have this book full of lyrics and then I write a piece of music that I'm like, ooh, this actually has like a mood, or it's speaking to me in a way that's very specific. You know, do you ever experience that? Like sometimes I'll write a chord progression where I'm like, you know what? Like I think I know exactly what this needs to be about. And I don't reach for the book. You know, like I love those moments, those songs that you I call it like puking out a song, like where it's just like, won't write anything for months and then you sit down and in 5 minutes there's a beautiful song.
Totally.
Like it's like some sort of I don't know, this might sound kind of gross or like body horror, but it feels like you're like unplugging something. Just like like okay, the pathway's clear again.
It's a build and then it all of a sudden just needs to release.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
What themes or emotions do you find yourself exploring currently in your music?
The state of the world today, am I right?
Yeah.
Like it's
I know.
Currently I am exploring feelings of anxiety and like just of trying to be present, of trying to remain grounded during chaotic times, during times that are heavy and a bit hard to digest, but also, you know, using songwriting to digest some of the sadness or the deep like anger that a lot of these injustices of the world are bringing up for me and you and a lot of people right now. So yeah, currently it's on the heavy side for sure. And any sort of examination of like joy and reflecting on, you know, being able to be in the spirit of the moment is definitely sort of counterweighted by that, doing that because things are so heavy. This is the medicine to the heaviness.
Would you say that your music feels like a form of medicine for you? Like, do you feel like when you're writing, it's helping you work through those feelings?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's interesting because I guess in the spirit of being in the moment, writing music is a great way to sort of get meditative, even though there's a lot of like thought required and you're building something and you're thinking logistically about what's going to come next and how that works with the last line or the last riff or what have you. There's something very meditative to that process that takes me out of the doom spiral that kind of occupies my mind a lot of the time.
Yeah, what's been the most exciting part of making music lately?
The most exciting part of making music recently is I think I'm in a stage where I'm wanting to get back into just enjoying the journey. I've been in such a fixation on the outcomes for so long, probably starting back in 2015 when I was committing myself to music full time, and that was my get, so at that time it's like it was a motivation to put food on my plate and keep a roof over my head, and then in the meantime trying to pump out the next album so that I could have something to sell at the merch table. And I think since then I've really been in a sort of ebb and flow of burnout, truly. And I think that's something that happens for a lot of artists, and I can only speak from my own experience, but just moving out of that full-time music mode into a job, right, even a part-time job, holding that alongside trying to build a music career is it can be challenging, and it has definitely put me in a spot where I'm very fixated on outcomes. So recently I'm very excited to be moving into a space or in a space currently where I'm really just exploring the process and exploring the sitting with the discomfort of screwing up and being like, but why is that a screw up? It's just a note that went sideways, Totally. And trying to find those more compassionate ways to engage with my own creation of music, because it hasn't always been that compassionate. So really that's sort of what I'm excited about these days is I'm doing like a riff a day thing online, and that's just super fun because it's like a lot of these riffs are just sort of they're there for the day, and then I don't think about them again. I'm not sitting there trying to like, okay, I have to build a song off of this riff now because I need more material for my next album because I haven't released an album in a while. Like, it's just been enjoying the process and enjoying engaging with my voice and engaging with my instrument and doing it in a way that like feels kind.
I love
and
that.
And compassionate. Yeah.
That's really nice. That kind of reminds me of the riff a day. Have you seen that one where it's like build a song and during the time it takes to drink a cup of tea or coffee.
Oh no, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it's called, but
Yeah.
it's a similar thing where you only give yourself 10 minutes to just write a song, and then that's the song.
Yeah.
And then maybe you keep it and you love it,
Yeah.
or maybe you just throw it away. But the idea is to just keep coming back and sitting down and doing that like every day for an extended period of time.
That's really cool.
And I love that concept. It's just like, there's no expectations. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just forcing you to just get out of your day-to-day activity and just enjoy what you're doing and the love of music.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to forget when, as an artist, that you're working all the time, and you may be working 2 part-time jobs. You're also performing and creating, and it's a lot.
It is a lot. And yeah, I think it's really easy to lose focus focus for a long time about why we're actually doing this.
So are there any upcoming projects or things that are happening in Britt A.M's world?
Yeah, I'm sort of in a bit of a fallow period for Britt A.M. I'm wanting to sort of rework the presence of the project, and so yeah, I'm kind of just keeping it quiet for now. Definitely lots of new songs that I'd love to start recording and getting out there, but I'm in a moment where I'd just like to really think about how I want this to look moving forward. Yeah. Healing a lot of my burnout has put me in a position where I can actually take a step back and be like, what's working, what isn't working, what would I like to change just for the sake of it, so yeah, it's Britt A.M's on a little bit of a chill road right now. It's
Let's talk a little bit about the music industry.
Oh boy.
Okay, as an artist who's heavily navigated the independent music scene thoroughly, what's your take on the current state of the industry?
The current state of the music industry is just ever disappointing, I'll be honest. I think it's a good time to take a step back and reframe why you play music and what success looks like to you.
That's great advice. Yeah,
because if you don't have those anchor pieces, you're going to burn out so quick, and you're going to feel so dejected, and you're going to be broke AF. The industry is not kind. It's probably the least kind it's ever been, I would say, because of things like Spotify, who are even clawing back the percentages of a cent that they were paying artists. They're cutting that, they're slashing that. It's the current ways that the audience engages with music are really not great for the majority of musicians. I think the bright side of this is that it gives us all an opportunity to think about ways to navigate around these huge systems that are really keeping us down and harming your average Joe. So yeah, I think it is an exciting time to be a musician if you can really stay grounded in who you are and why you're doing it, which is really hard. Accepting rejection is a muscle you grow. You and I, we've been at this for a long time. Maybe a lot of our listeners, I don't know, but when you get at it for a long time and you've been rejected time and time again, you get used to it. It doesn't hurt like it used to, but I feel for people who are just entering the scene now.
Yeah.
Mind you, that being said, people who are just entering the scene now are most likely younger, majority probably would be, than me, and probably have a way better idea of how to navigate social media, TikTok, all these things to actually take themselves to an elevated.
They already have those skills.
Yeah, so they might have a leg up. Yeah, they might actually have a leg up. That makes me a little bit happy to think about that. I hope that's the case for them. But that being said, why do we have to have such a social media presence? That's the other piece of the current industry. It's I would like to just focus on writing songs and making records, but here we are. I'm, trying to balance my fixation on having to make the content to get the people to the music, but then you look at the conversion rate of people who engage with your content versus purchase your music. It's grim. It's very grim. So so I think we're definitely in a transitional moment, and I think it's a really cool opportunity to examine ourselves and really get rooted in why we do it, so that we can kind of build our platform based on that, instead of having to do what the industry says we should do.
And I guess so if you could change one thing about the scene, the industry.
Yeah.
Those are two different questions, I guess. But what would it be?
I would change the rate of pay that musicians receive for streaming.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I would change that to fair pay for each stream.
Me too,
Livable
sister.
wage, baby.
Yeah. Livable wage would be nice.
Wouldn't that be nice? That'd be great.
Do you have some other advice that you'd like to lend to artists listening that are hoping to pursue a life, a career, or a side career, side hustle in music?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. There's some advice that I've heard that I hate, but it's actually kind of relevant, which sucks when it becomes relevant. You're like, oh, they were right. But if you're starting out in music, make sure to diversify your income.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to make rent with your music, or it's going to take a bit. Yeah, I guess I would just advise being financially prepared to suffer. No, I'm just kidding. No, I guess I would just say, like, it's good to hold reality in mind. And you know what the reality is, and I did it for quite a while. As a full-time musician, you will never have a day off. And you may have to take gigs that you don't love if your goal is to pay rent with your music. But if your goal is truly just to create and, like, make music that you love and that you feel really happy about sharing with people, then yeah, just examine that and only engage in the parts of the industry that feel good to you. There's no formula anymore. The formula is toast.
Yeah.
So, like, whether, people are getting viral videos on TikTok that eventually launch their careers. I think of Doechii, right? Like, Doechii was, like, huge on TikTok before, she won a Grammy this year. But everybody has a different path. Some people are, like, they just happen to land the right gig at the right time and get booked as an opener for a bigger band that's touring. It's a lot of chance and it's a lot of luck. So you might as well engage from a space that feels authentic and feels fun and feels good to create from. Don't create for anybody but you.
So you've been heavily involved in community-based music initiatives, I would say. How important do you think grassroots efforts are in sustaining a music scene?
Very, very, very important.
Yeah.
Again, it's finding ways to navigate a system that is very brutally broken and doesn't have space for grassroots musicians, doesn't have space for people with under 50,000 streams per song, which is like, and even that is tiny. I sound like such a country bumpkin, like 50,000 streams, like, but that's a lot to me. Like, I'm not here pushing my music in a way that's going to, like, secure that. So yeah, it's very important to have grassroots initiatives and build community at a local level. You want to make sure that, like, the people around you are doing well too, because there's only so long you can sustain your career without the help of others. In fact, I'd argue that you probably won't have a career without the help of others. Like, you absolutely have to rely on that community piece to do what you love to do as an artist. And not only do you have to rely on it, but it's actually a really beautiful way to make music and to engage with your art and partner with other people in the community who are also engaging with their art from an empowered way. Like, it's a good way to fight exploitation, is to beef each other up and make sure that, like, we're all in it together. Yeah,
and showing up for each other too. Yeah, going to shows, supporting your fellow artists in your town. And
absolutely. Yeah, bare minimum, really.
Yeah.
Like, you can't pout about people not coming to your shows if you never show up yourself, right?
Totally.
And I like, just from a really, baseline level, supporting other bands in your town, but also seeing where maybe you can partner on, like, shipping on a batch of T-shirts from an out-of-town supplier or something like that. Like, there's really small ways to sort of maintain your economic integrity as well as your ethics. Like, if it's more expensive to get the ethical T-shirt brand and you have a couple other people in your town that want to pitch in on that together, then, like, to save on shipping even, then it does help to, like, be true to your own ethics when you're putting music out there while really working within the constraints of a very, very small budget, I would assume.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's a great idea. Or, like, even doing something like you're sending your music to different community radio stations and you're sharing an envelope or whatever.
Yeah,
that looks
absolutely.
like postage.
Yeah, and as a former music director, I always loved that when it was like, ooh, here's a little Peterborough special. Like, here's 5 artists who like put their CDs in an envelope for me to check out from Peterborough, you know, or wherever. It's like, what a cool scene.
I like that.
Right? Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do a quick little rapid round. So these will be like kind of short questions. If your music had a flavor, what would it be?
God.
What would it taste like?
It'd be salty. Probably pretty salty, a little bit bitter, but somehow really sweet at times. And really sugary.
Very well-rounded.
So what is that? That's like some sort of like, it's like a kiwi dipped in salt.
Yeah. What's a non-musical passion that really fuels your creativity?
I love to paint, and I love to make visual art. I love to make pottery. Definitely the visual arts are my other passion, and I don't commit nearly enough time to them. I've been actually trying to look at my next month or so to figure out ways that I can start incorporating those again, because I've kind of lost the plot on those. But I truly love making visual art. Like, that's another thing I've been doing since I was a kid. Like, I used to love drawing and painting, and that definitely has transferred to my adult life. Like, I have a little art set up in our office, and it just kind of sits there and like whispers to me every once in a while when I'm sending emails, and I'm like, oh, I should just turn my chair around and make some art. So yeah, I love visual arts.
Any pre-show rituals?
Ooh, okay. So one that I've taken on in the last year or so, I do yoga like online. And one of the yoga teachers online her name's Adrienne, and she has this thing called Knocking on Heaven's Door. I'm sure there's a more traditional, like, proper name for it within the yogi world, and I apologize for the blasphemy, but she calls it Knocking on Heaven's Door. And you basically just, like, when I'm feeling like pre-show jitters or like a little bit nervous, I just like do this move where it's basically you're like,
you can
plant
demonstrate
your feet.
It's being filmed if you want.
All right. Oh, has he been here the whole time? But basically,
you don't have to.
You plant your feet and then you just let your arms swing from side to side, and you're slapping your own butt. And I find that really moves energy through so well when you have those pre-show jitters. I always have throat coat. I know we're not supposed to do branded things. I won't say what brand it is because I honestly don't know, but it's called throat coat tea, which I find is it's a ritual for sure. It's like my little safety blanket before a show. And yeah, depending on the evening and the venue, I might have a pre-show beer.
And final question before we move into the song exploration, what keeps you going? Like, what keeps you in this world?
I would say that the people are what keeps me going. I love collaborating with people musically. The people that I'm in bands with right now, I love dearly, and I love spending time with, and I love creating music with. The audiences that I'm lucky enough to play to, I absolutely adore. The sense of community around music is just really important to me and has given me so much in my life. So yeah, that's the biggest element of what keeps me going.
Well, now it's time to move into our song exploration portion of the hour, the segment, where we check out a few of the recorded tunes from Britt A.M. Let's start off with the song Catch a Breath from the EP How It's Going. Okay, can you tell us a bit about the recording process of this song and the EP? If I'm not mistaken, this was released in the middle of the pandemic.
Sure was. Yeah. And that's,
walk us through that. Yeah, that's a lot.
This was a really unique one for my catalog. Looking at this, it really marks a specific moment in time. Yeah, right in the thick of the pandemic. So still in that era of masking all the time, like everything was closed. You stay 6 feet away from people, very stressful, very unsure times. And I really wanted to record something. So actually set up a little like home recording space in the basement. Very, very simple, just a little like Roland 8-track system, and did it all just with a guitar and a drum patch. You know, I'd never really experimented with using these things before. Well, guitar, yes, but the drum patch and having that sort of pre-built rhythm sample in there.
And like the synth pad kind of.
The synth, yeah, actually those are all guitars.
Oh, okay,
yeah,
cool.
So those are all I was in a space obviously where I had a lot of time to work with as well. Like I was lucky enough to work from home, and I was working very part-time at the time. So yeah, I had a lot of space to sort of work with the pedals that we have kicking around and sort of come up with new textures that I'd never really used live.
Yeah.
Or even in rehearsals with the band. So yeah, it was a really unique moment in my creative journey because it was just, you know, that creativity through limitation, through constraint. It's like, well, I won't be able to get in a room in a studio with my band to record anytime soon. So what can I do with what I've got? And I've always, I don't know why, but I've always had this, maybe it's music school, but I've always had this sort of idea that drum patches and things like that are sort of cheesy in the context of like creating music. And that's, I don't know why I think that from a creative point of view, because I listen to a lot of music that has drum patches that I love the sound of, and I think it's really beautifully done and I value it a lot. You know, so it was a good opportunity to sort of confront those strange biases that I'd picked up over the years and kind of work through them and be like, this is actually really cool and I like the way it sounds. So yeah, it was a really very exploratory little EP made in a little basement spare bedroom. And yeah, I feel like this just really, Catch a Breath really marks a specific moment in the pandemic when it was feeling a bit long in the tooth. It'd been over a year at this point, just over a year. I think it was March 2021 when I recorded this. So feeling very, just that almost like a depression around how long it had been going on, how long it had been since we were able to gather with people and play shows and rehearse, like all these things. This was created from that feeling of exasperation with the pandemic experience. And it is one of my favorite songs that I've ever written and recorded because it is so different. And I was able to really reach for textures that I've loved in other music that I haven't quite been able to find a space for in a live setting yet. So yeah, that was, I really love this song for that reason. I love the mood. I love the spaciousness of it. It's just such a unique moment in time that it captures.
Totally. I love, like, it's kind of like an ethereal feeling throughout the that synth pad, but it's not a synth pad that we just found out. The guitar, it really like sets the tone. I bet it opens up in such a beautiful way too later on in the song with the beautiful guitar riff in it. Yeah, I love it. I think it's really nice. It's also, it's heavy for me, like listening back. I know where I was when I heard this song for the first time, you know?
Yeah.
I know where we all were But that's probably a biased opinion because, I listened to it right when you released it, right?
Yeah.
But also, it brings me kind of back to, like, the future. Like, it's still uncertain, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
And the news is still heavy. And the world is still burning. So
Yeah.
it's heavy, but it's important and it's true. It's honest.
You know, I think especially when it comes to COVID, there was a real grace period at the beginning where people were very community minded and how do we protect our neighbors and like, let's come together and, you know, we'll figure out a way to like support each other through this. It was really special and it obviously dissipated into like very, like we got QAnon and like all these other things that became a product of that experience. And now it's very conflict ridden and there's a lot of division through that experience as well. So it's like, to bring it back to our current world being uncertain, I do from time to time think about like, oh, what if that happened again now? We wouldn't have that grace period anymore, you know, like, and it's, you know, not to like be all doom and gloom, but there's just so many things to worry about in 2025.
Unfortunately, How does it feel like revisiting this track, like listening to it after all the years? Like, do you feel like the meaning has changed for you?
I think I'm able to look back on it and really witness it for what it was. At the time, it just kind of felt like, oh, this is what I'm experiencing now. And, you know, like a lot of my songs, I write from a pretty internalized lens. So, I didn't really realize how impactful it would be in the normal times or like post-COVID, like post-pandemic. I hold it now with much more nostalgia and just a compassion for what I was going through at the time and what I was able to witness and lay down. And I give past Britt kudos for like being so resourceful and putting it together at a time like that, you know.
Totally.
So it's a really special song to me.
Let's move on to the next song. This one is called Ode to Grey, and this one is from Britt's latest EP, Immolation.
Is the grey from the smoke or the rain? Guess we'll see when I breathe in the breeze. Skies carry around all the troubles we produce on the ground. There go the crows to roost when days come and go. Past they fly as I lay down to cry. Eyes looking down from on the breeze, a place I wish I could be. Is the grey from the smoke or the rain? I guess we'll see when I breathe in the breeze.
Okay, that song was Ode to Grey. I love that song.
Thank you.
Yeah. Let's talk about your latest release, Immolation.
So Immolation, it was released pretty much 2 years ago. It was March 2023. And we recorded it at Pulp City Studio with Connor Pritchard, co-producing, engineering, mixing. Like he does a lot in that little studio of his. And I think this album really shows just how well we work together, like how his vision and my vision really come together to make a great project.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really I think about Ode to Grey specifically when I think of Connor and sort of what he gives to the experience of recording. The bridge when it opens up, you know, oh to be that part, like he just had so many cool ideas for this song throughout, like vocal lines to try out, you know, like different ways to like sort of open up in those spaces. And so, yeah, so I think about working with Connor and just how joyful that is and how cohesive that is for a lot of the music that I write. And yeah, it was just an opportunity to get in and get some songs out that we'd been playing live for a few months, maybe even a year before recording them.
Yeah.
So it was a really, it felt like we were talking about earlier, that sort of release. It was like, oh, it feels really good to get these songs out here because we all really love to play them. And I personally like think it's some of my best songwriting. And so yeah, I really have a soft spot in my heart for Immolation.
It's such a unique guitar riff, as are a lot of your guitar riffs. It just adds such a cool feeling to the song. How does that come to be? Like, where do you gather those from? Like, how do you?
Yeah, I think a lot of times it just comes from noodling.
Yeah.
Just like sort of sitting with my guitar, sort of mindlessly plunking around, and then something cool pops out. This riff in particular, I actually had participated in a Riff-A-Day thing on Instagram the year before, and this was one of the riffs.
Cool.
Yeah, so this was...
That's awesome you were able to use it.
Totally. And it was just one of those ones that I think, you know, like I said before, a lot of the riffs you kind of just make and leave them behind. But this one just felt like it needed to be developed into something more. And it kind of has this, I don't know, like a ragtimey sort of vintage feel to it, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's different than what I normally write. And I liked the lilt of it, and it's a really nice bass to do that opening part in the bridge. And actually looking back on it, like I loved or I still love Feist. You know, she's been pretty much on my rotation since she put out her first album. And there's that song Mushaboom off of, I think it's a self-titled album, maybe? Let It Die. No, the album Let It Die.
I love that song.
Mushaboom, right? Like at the time that I heard it way back in whatever year it was, 2003 or 2004, like it was just so unique, and it had that ragtimey sort of vintage feel to it. And when I listen to Ode to Grey now, I'm like, oh, it actually maybe unconsciously an homage to Mushaboom, or like some sort of like influence there that was like from the recesses of my mind, like because I've always had like that, I really like that sort of modern take on an old thing, you know, like it's so Ode to Grey definitely
cool.
came to be in a really unique way.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the meaning behind this song, this Ode to Grey in particular?
Yeah, so this was written, more natural disasters coming up. This was written in the height of like wildfire season, and just that again, the uncertainty comes to play, and just that feeling of waking up in the morning and being like, oof, like, you know, you see the light come in your window and you're not sure yet, is it smoky out or is it just foggy? And like just the feeling, that apprehension every morning when it's not bluebird out, when it's not sunny out, when it's not clear. What is this now? Like, step outside, figure it out. Am I staying in or can I go for a walk today? Yeah, so it's written around just the anxiety of climate change and how it affects our everyday life, or my everyday life.
Totally. Well, it's an interesting, because I got that from listening to the lyrics for sure, but it's like that interesting clashing of kind of like an upbeat feel. You know, I love that. I'm a sucker for that. And you listen to the lyrics, you're like, wow, this is actually pretty bleak. Well, but then the music just, it can be just disguised in such like a little sneaky way. And I love those kinds of songs. So that's very cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's, if you don't laugh, you'll cry, right?
Yeah.
Like it's one of those. And I do like messing around with people's expectations and mood and sort of the tongue-in-cheek sort of facetiousness that can sometimes come of that. I don't necessarily think that facetiousness is at play with Ode to Grey, but I do sort of like that juxtapose. It's just because it is a little bit unexpected.
Kind of on a side note, what's your favorite song of yours that you love to perform live?
Ooh. Girl Thing's a lot of fun because it's just like hard, fast punk song, and the topic makes me ragey, and it's a good way to express the rage.
Yeah.
Girl Thing is fun. Mirrors is also maybe my top song to perform. I never captured it in the studio, strangely enough. At the end of Mirrors, I basically primal scream for a few rounds of the chord structure. Yeah, we never did it in studio, which is kind of wild. Like, we have the big build at the end in the studio for that's off of Psychic Knots from like 2019. But yeah, it's wild. It's like, it's just so fun to play because I just get to screech my face off.
I love that you're able to play songs from your older albums and they still like pump you up. That means they're, great songs. They're greatly written songs. And yeah, I think it's really cool that your catalog is growing and you still enjoy your earlier stuff as well.
Yeah, thank you. There's definitely some that you park along the way.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I appreciate that sentiment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there any final notes that you wanted to add?
So the last thing I'd want to say is that I really appreciate the work that you do, the work that CFUR does, like talking about grassroots community building and beefing each other up and, tides rising together. CFUR has been like the cornerstone of our music scene for so long, and you give so many local musicians, regional musicians, airtime and the opportunity to come promote their music, do cool projects like we're doing today. Like, yeah, I just bravo. I'm so grateful to be here.
That's
and
so nice.
I'm so grateful to have this in our community. I think it's a real game changer.
Oh,
so
thanks,
yeah.
Britt.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here today and spending time with us for the Northern Static series on CFUR 88.7 FM. And that's a wrap.
Yay.
Yay.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
February is not my month. My body braces for reminders. 'Cause anytime I've blown up my life or had it blown up for me, it's been amongst a sea of hearts, mocking those of us deep in our drowning. A lack of wellness can be a comfort. A beast holding you near, reminding you of how you were raised and the mark set upon you by people with beasts of their own, by their side. I used to be a bird with one wing, flying in circles, trying to stay up in the air, facing the sky just long enough to know what I'm missing when I hit the ground. Lucky dog, or so you were. Heart aglow in this shady world. You were immune to the weight of love. And Instead, it carried you through, and you lifted others up. I gotten used to my dance with grief, but over time I opened up to care about what the future brings, and with that came joy of knowing you, my friend. Ooh, by my side. The day you left us, you were wrapped in love, leaning in, holding you close, as long as they let us past your final breath, past your final heartbeat, holding you close one last time for my memory. It makes sense, it was February. I can't write lyrics anymore. I sit guitar in hand, playing the same old riffs. Man, the writing part of me's back there somewhere, where the road's washed out. When things are good, you stay there till they're not, and if you get to choose to go, then hey, it's alright. But if the choice is made for you by God, by the one you love, well, shit. Getting it's on me, correcting it's on me, getting it's on me, it's on me, you see. Getting it's on me, correcting it's on me, getting it's on me, it's on me, you see. Getting it's on me, correcting it's on me, getting it's on me, it's on me. Don't you see? Years pass by and you leave yourself behind, sloughing rough stuff while thickens you up. And if you land with your feet underneath, you go collect those bits and reconstruct yourself. That's if you're lucky. Getting it's on me, correcting it's on me, getting it's on me, it's on me, you see. Getting it's on me, correcting it's on me, getting it's on me, it's on me, you see. Getting it's on me, correcting it's on me, getting it's on me, it's on me. Don't you see? Be more time, but I guess that was it. Thought there'd be more time, but I guess that was it. Get on with it, 'cause that was it. Get on with it, 'cause that was it. Don't you see? the smoky glow of trees along the hillside near the place where I call home. Branches turned to cinder in the place I used to play, in times when I look forward to a sunny summer's day. My mother works her fingers to the bone. I worry for her, but she needs the job, she needs a home. She spends her time off healing workplace injuries. Keep wishing for the jackpot, but our numbers never win. Oh, what little silence makes its way into my busy brain. A world's worth of crisis, landing on my own through little screens. Most of my life has seen the moon. Ooh. My friend got fired for some speaking out about the genocide in Gaza. Her boss, he turned her out, expected tacit attention and tears shed privately, instead of singing sorrows with community. Lately I've taken to wooded walks, a place to leave the worries of my day and gather thoughts. Will I be driving by in a month, a week from now, watching my worries burn in a raging fire cloud, hoping for the best for the creatures on the flee? I think I'll just keep walking in this moment, blessed to be. What an awkward goodbye this turned out to be. No comments from the sky, just a slow Anthropocene. Looking to devices and the vices for those hits of dopamine. And to force a forgetting of the way things used to be. I am so tired, but the air is getting thick. Maybe it will get so thick that we won't have to go to work. Things will slow down to a labored crawl. At least for the masses, not the ones to blame all this on. Smokes to our face like one big mirror, reflecting one for one and none for all. And now that got us here, it's if you choose to look. access to most of the things I need.